I am Patience Talley.
And I'm Pastor Deron Talley, and we're with the St. Joseph Missionary Baptist Church in West Monroe, Louisiana. We're a church that's Bible-based, Christ-centered, family-focused, and mission-minded. For all the promises of God in Him are yeah, which is why we believe when Jesus says yes,
nobody can say no.
That's right. When Jesus says yes, not even you can say no.
Come on.
Listen, we're going to start up our Sunday school lesson April 19, 2020. We want our youth to be engaged. Like, comment, and share this with your friends. We're in the book of Esther today. The subject is Justice Always Wins. Adults, parents, if you want to tune in with your children, the adult lesson is Justice Prevails. We're in Unit 2 of our Sunday school book, God Promises a Just Kingdom. Patience, you're excited about the lesson today?
Yeah, I am super excited about the lesson today. As he mentioned, we're in the book of Esther, and Esther has 10 phenomenal chapters. I mean, they read like a movie. They're awesome. The story has a happy ending. It has love in it. There's just so much to be excited about, and so many interesting points and facts about this book.
Definitely. Some of the things that I think about when reading the book of Esther, and people out there, if you like binge watching on Netflix or Hulu or Fire Stick, you can binge the Bible, binge the book of Esther. Every chapter is it's so exciting. It tells the story. It has the climax, the rising action, the conflict. We're going to see some conflict in today's lesson. It's just a great book to read.
It's a great book.
And while you're in quarantine during the coronavirus of 2020, spend some time in the book of Esther. And there is a fun fact about the book of Esther. Patience, you want to share what it is?
Yes, the fun fact about the book of Esther is God's name is never mentioned in this book, which is so ironic. You think the Bible is about God and God's miracle and everything that He does, but in the book of Esther, God's name is never mentioned. But throughout so many situations in Esther, you can see the grace and the miracles of God. And so that's just a testament to our lives. Sometimes we may not call on God, or God, you may think God isn't present because His name isn't mentioned, but He's always in the midst. And we're going to see that even through this chapter 7, which we're about to go over now, how God is in the midst and how God can turn situations that were meant for bad into good for His people.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. So again, we're at Esther chapter 7. The entire chapter we're going to look at today, verses 1 through 10. And the subject is Justice Always Wins, or Justice Prevails.
Yes, it does.
We're going to read just a few verses at a time here, just so we can digest it. Patience and I will share some stories with you all, elaborate a little bit on these few verses here. But like, comment, and share this word with you. And always remember that justice always wins.
Yes, it does.
Esther chapter number 7, start with verse 1, says, So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. And as they were drinking wine on the second day, the king again asked, Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be given you. What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. Verse number 3, Then Queen Esther answered, If I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition. And spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet, because no such distress would justify disturbing the king. That's Esther chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. And we see in this lesson that it shows us who we are and whose we are. Even though God's name isn't mentioned here, you could easily see the connection, the correlation of Queen Esther and the king and that relationship, and the relationship that you and I really should desire to have with God. Put yourself in Queen Esther's shoes, and let's use the king as a symbol of God. Right? We're not going to say the king is God, but let's just look at the relationship where the king says, hey, Patience. And this could be God talking to you. Hey, Patience, Tell me what is it that you really want. I've come over to your party. I've come over to your house. I've come over into your heart. I'm over in your head. I'm in your scene. I'm in your situation. I'm in your pit. I'm in your problem. Now that I'm here, what's your petition?
Right.
And that's what we see in this lesson is that, well, these first few verses is that Queen Esther has favor. She's anointed.
Yeah,
she's selected. She has that grace. She has the attention and the ear of the one who has the authority.
Yes.
She has the attention and the ear of the one who is sovereign.
Right.
The one who can make a change or make a difference or make an impact.
Right.
She has the king's attention here. And the king is willing and able to request her petition.
Yes.
So we see that here in the first few verses. She says, the king says, tell me what is it that you want and I'll give it to you. And this is one of the things that I always talk about at St. Joseph. And you guys are hear Demi in the background. But one of the things we talk about at St. Joseph is when God or when we're communicating with God, make sure that we know how to talk to God specifically.
Yes, be specific
boldly.
in our requests. Yes.
What you say, Patience?
I think being specific is very vital because even in this case, she has a completely specific request for her people, for herself and her people. And her request is, Lord or King, do not let them kill me or my people. And she even goes on to say, if they would have just turned us into slaves, I would have been okay with it.
Wow.
But I'm asking you specifically, do not kill me, do not kill my people. And so if she would have said something vague like, save us, just anything, it may not have come out the way that it turned out. And so that's why being specific in our request to God, and in Esther's case to the king, it's vital. It's very, very.
Let's go ahead and look at verses 5 through 8. Verse 5 picks up, again, Esther chapter 7. We're picking up at verse 5 now. King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, who is he? Where is he? The man who has dared to do such a thing. Esther said, an adversary and enemy. This vile Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and queen. The king got up in a rage, left his wine, and went out into the palace garden. But Haman, realizing that the king had already decided his fate, stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. Just as the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. The king exclaimed, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house? As soon as the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Wow.
Verse 5 picks up really just continuing that conversation between the king and the queen. Again, verse 1 through 4, we saw the king talking to Esther about a specific request, about a petition. And Esther takes him up on that favor and said, well, okay, well, this is what I need. And I don't think the king really understood the background here. And maybe we hadn't talked about the background of our text here. But verse 5, king comes in and says, wow, basically, that's a strong petition and request. I had no idea you were in such harm's way.
Right.
I had no idea you had such a problem on your hands, Esther. Who set this up?
And so ironically, the person that set it up was right there in front of them. And that just shows you sometimes how the enemy is sitting right in your face, and God will swipe them right in your face. And so her request is basically being granted at this point.
Definitely. I mean, it's odd, it's ironic, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for us to stand up to the bully as youth.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for you to stand up to the bad guy.
That's a great point.
It's an opportunity for you to say no to drugs. It's that same challenge. It's all that temptation, that peer pressure that's around you.
Right.
That's going to keep you from doing the right thing. Queen Esther could have easily looked across the way, saw Haman, and tucked her head and said,
because he's right there.
Well, King, I don't know who it was. Again, we know what they say on the streets. Snitches get stitches. But justice has to prevail.
It does.
And justice is always going to win, whether you open your mouth or not. But you have an opportunity right now to do something great. And Queen Esther took up that opportunity to do something great, to not only save herself, but save her people. And the king, the one with authority, the one who could make a difference, the one who could make a change and make their situation better, the queen was bold enough, brave enough, transparent enough to say, hey, king, it was him.
Yep.
That's the guy that tricked you basically into setting up this law that would ultimately destroy me and my people.
Yeah.
You as your queen. It was Haman, your right-hand man. And Haman been doing this against me and my people. He tried to set up my cousin Mordecai. Mordecai was the one that gave you the lookout in a couple chapters ago.
Right.
Remember when we was going through this and we was wondering how you made it out? It was my cousin Mordecai.
Yes.
Haman tried to take the credit for it, and he didn't even want you to even recognize Mordecai. And then you remember in chapter 6, once you realized that it was Mordecai that saved you, then my cousin, my people, that's when Haman really started trying to influence you to set these rules up against my people.
That's right.
And so Esther describes Haman as an enemy, as an adversary, as a vile human being, as just a wicked person, and evil person. Yeah. And we don't want to be the Haman.
Yes, we do not want to be the Haman. Haman was in a terrible situation because following the announcement that he was that vile person, the king got so angry. He got so angry, he left. We don't know what he went to do, but he left and then he came back and he basically sees Haman, what I see to be as begging King Ezra, Queen Esther, begging Queen Esther, do not let him do this to me. And the king saw this as him molesting her. And so it was time for him to go. He had done enough damage. It's time for him to go. And so that's when we get to the point to where in verse 8 he says, as soon as the word left the king's mouth, they covered his face.
That's it. And one other thing I want to talk about in this section, the Bible talks about he'll make your enemy your footstool.
Wow.
And Haman, again, watch the background now. Haman is King Xerxes' right-hand man.
Yes.
He was elevated to that position, skipped over Mordecai. It should have been Mordecai in that position, but Mordecai was Queen Esther's people. He was a Jew. Haman slithered his way into taking that spot. Now, Queen Esther she's in power, she's in position, she's looking out for her people, and now the tables have turned on Haman.
Yes.
The one that was laying out all the traps for Esther and all her people, Mordecai and all the other Jews. The one that was trying to get all of them killed and annihilated, as Esther described it. He's now the one begging,
yes, he is.
Bowing down to Queen Esther. And I come to tell you all today that person that's been bullying you, the person that's been picking on you and talking about you, it's going to come a time when they will need you, that they're going to be asking and begging for your mercy, asking and begging for you to have their back, to cover them, to protect them, to turn the other cheek and have mercy on them.
Yes.
And that's the position Haman found himself in. He became the footstool of the queen. But it was misinterpreted to what Patience was just talking about. The king saw it in a different eye. And he said, whoa, you're too close to my lady. Yeah. You're too close to my lady, man.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here, but it's time for you to go.
You got to go.
You got to go. And so that's where we are, where the king is saying, hey, something has to be done about this guy. He's caused enough trouble. He's making my wife upset, and now he's violating my wife in a way that I do not condone. And so we go into verses 9 and 10. The last two verses. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs attending the king, said, a pole reaching to a height of 50 cubits stand by Haman's house. He had set it up for Mordecai, who spoke up to help the king. The king said, impale him on it. So they impaled Haman on the pole that he had set up for Mordecai. The king's fury subsided. First off, let's just do a few definitions here. You saw that big word, eunuch. Yeah. A eunuch is a chamberlain, a court office. You talk about those poles even. King James Version translated as gallows. Those are those poles
that a criminal is going to be hung from, literally.
Wow.
The hanging poles. And so you have some interpretation there that you see there in verses 9 and 10 that I wanted to make sure that you understood. And that word impaled means basically put him on it.
Yeah.
Throw him up there on that pole and hang him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, these two verses are key to this chapter because it really just shows you how this situation made a 180. Mm-hmm. How in the beginning, Haman obviously had this pole set up for Mordecai, who is Queen Esther's relative in some way. And so he put this pole in front of his house for Mordecai to basically be killed on. And it's the same pole that the king is now about to kill Haman on. And so that just shows you some traps that you set up for others may come to you, and vice versa. Some traps that people set up for you may come onto them. And so you have to be careful what you do and not do things out of spite or to be evil or to be ugly. And so that's for our youth. If you have siblings, I know you guys are hanging out a lot right now. Be sweet to your siblings. Be sweet to your mom, because some of the things, if you try and say, I'm going to take 2 pieces of candy, I'm going to only give her 1 piece, that might some way reverse. I mean, it's just...
And you may not get none of them.
You may not get any. You may not get anything. But you just have to really think about everything you do. Is this going to give God the glory? Is this going to glorify God in everything that we do? This is for our youth. This is for everyone. We have to make sure we're glorifying God. And so just as Haman tried to set the traps up for Mordecai and Queen Esther in their lives, so will the people that you encounter. Some of your friends, maybe some of the things that are going on at school. But we serve a God who is all-knowing, all-powerful, and capable of doing anything. And he's going to look out for you because we are his anointed people.
We're his anointed people. The Bible tells us even in Proverbs 26, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. We've seen it time and time again. We saw Joseph, whenever his brothers put him in the pit and then sold him off. What the devil meant for bad, God turned it for good. He'll do the same for you. Justice will prevail. You can't get our hands dirty and say, oh, you stole a piece of candy from me, I'm going to make sure you don't get no more candy ever again. That's not our role. Our role is to sit and be still and know that justice will prevail. Justice will win on its own. And justice don't need our help.
We don't have to touch it. We don't have to touch anything. All we have to do is recognize that God will take care of this situation. Ask God what we want. Send our request, a specific request to God, and he'll take care of it. And that's an example for each and every day. People will, the enemy is busy. He stays busy. And so we just have to make sure that we're covered and knowing that we are God's chosen people. We are his children. And he's going to take care of us. He's going to make sure if we are giving out good karma, we're going to get that good karma. But if we're giving out that bad juju, then you're probably going to get it. If you're trying to set up some traps for other people, the trap's probably going to come in and bite you, okay? So that's our Sunday school lesson. Again, April 19th. We hope you enjoy it. Like, share, comment. Let us know what you think. Put some of your child's, some of the things that you've gone through. Comment some of that stuff so that we can see some of the things that you've gone through.
Definitely. Listen, God bless you all. It's been fun. As you can see, we're occupied now.
Yeah, she's like, hey, y'all had y'all's time.
She's taking over. She's writing her first sermon here. Getting ready to teach the next lesson for you guys. Stay tuned. Continue following us. Follow us on Facebook. God bless you. God keep you.